You know why we're here. We are here. We are here. Welcome back to the Coaches Huddle. It's your boy, the coach, where the field meets family. And I need my right-hand man with me right now. I got the only guy that can make sense out of what is going on with the 49ers right now. My guy, Tom Jensen. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing well, Coach. Great to be with you, but what a mess.
Well, let's not bury the lead. You know what I mean? Let's get. I hate to do it, but let's get straight to it, man. Aiyuk, Brandon Aiyuk, is just informed through ESPN that in the case of the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, the team voided more than $26 million in guaranteed money for the 2026 season. This decision was based on Aiyuk's failure to attend mandatory meetings and participate in other team activities. According to reports, Aiyuk missed multiple meetings and declined to engage in scheduled activities, leading to the 49ers exercising their contractual right to void his guarantees. While specific numbers of missed meetings or unreturned calls that constitute a breach can vary, consistent non-compliance with contractual obligations typically provides teams with the grounds to void guarantees. In Aiyuk's case, his repeated absences and lack of communication were sufficient for the 49ers to take this action. It's also important to note that each NFL contract is unique, and the thresholds for voiding guarantees, depending on specific language and stipulations agreed upon by the player and the team. So basically all of that means is there is no rule, there is no precedent, there is nothing that you can put your thumb on. There's nothing that you can say, oh, well, if there's 3 meetings missed, that's when the void triggers. It's all unique. Every contract is its own case-by-case situation. So that means the only reason why I talked about this right now is that means we'll never know exactly why BA and the Niners have severed ties. We'll never know. But what I do know is what I do for a living. And I am in corporate America. And what I know is that before you get canned, there are signs. There are signs before you get let go. Some of them can be in the form of a PIP. If you don't know what a PIP is, it's a performance improvement plan. All right. And basically what a PIP is it's a meeting between you and your superior where we highlight areas of improvement that you have been lacking on, which are germane to your job description. And what we choose to do is we have a duration of time, usually 30 days, for you to change these things. And if you do not work on these things after the 30 days, you will be let go. However, this is the kicker. Let's say you do everything. And after the 30 days, you have your PIP meeting with your superior. And they say, you know what, Tom? You've been doing great. Everything's good. I'll let you off the PIP. No need to go. That still is on your record. Right. The fact that you were on the PIP, the breadcrumb, the paper trail is still there. And also, when you sign the PIP, because you have to sign it, there's language in the PIP that lets you know that passing the PIP does not guarantee that you will keep your job in the future, which means that they can retroactively go back and say, well, Tom, we know we had that situation with you back in November, man.
And they'll always use it against you. Sure.
That's what this situation is giving. This situation is giving corporate, petty, paper trail. And I'm looking for a reason. I'm looking for a reason. This isn't a no stone left unturned. We banged on BA's door. There was nowhere to be found. We called his agent. We called his wife, his mother, and we were left with no choice. I don't feel like that. And I don't want to speak in absolutes, but I do not feel like that was the case. Tom, take it away.
My read on this is there's separate agendas. That Kyle thought that if we pay Aiyuk, he'll be fine. He'll be a good soldier. He'll do everything we want. Ayuk's agenda was, I want to use the Niners to get paid and force a trade to where I want to go. And those two never meet. Then Aiyuk said, okay, if I'm a part of this team, then I want to be part of the Cabo clique. I want to be inner circle. And then you get the shorts thing where he wears the red when it's supposed to be black. That was Aiyuk asserting his power of what he thought he was. And the organization said, no, change your shorts, no inner circle, no Cabo clique, no nothing. At that point, I think Aiyuk then said, okay, I'm not interested in being a part of this team if getting paid doesn't mean I'm inner circle and I get preferential treatment. I think that's what happened. Aiyuk wanted out, but he wanted the money that he knew he could only get from the Niners. And that's how this all, to my opinion, spun out.
All right, so let's dial this back a couple of ticks. Where do you believe the fracture started? Was it the 2023 season, that playoff run when we lost in the Super Bowl? Where do you believe the thread started that unraveled this tapestry?
When Kyle put BA in the doghouse right away. And Aiyuk was saying, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. What do you want? He perceived that as deferential treatment from Kyle from the beginning. And then 2023. But it started on the wrong foot with that doghouse from the very beginning. And so it was never on sound footing from the start. And then whenever there's anything else that goes wrong, Aiyuk will perceive that as another attack. There was a loss of trust right away.
Right. I tend to believe that, number one, you can't run a team the way we have been doing it, especially from a top-down perspective of you have your inner circle. Even if you do, I'm like, this is another thing too, which is a fallacy that you can't do it. There are favorites, okay? That's like your parents saying there's not favorite kids. Bullshit. They have their favorites, okay?
Yeah.
But you can't be public. You can't be so upfront with it. And I believe that there was a trend, not necessarily in line with every situation looked the same, but there was a trend. Trent Williams getting paid was the bitter end, and he got his money. Same thing with Nick Bosa. Sat out. They waited to the bitter end, missed all of training camp. He got exactly what he wanted. Christian McCaffrey not only got what he wanted, he went back again and got exactly what he wanted. All right. George got paid. I think that for what the production that Brandon Aiyuk was doing in his, I hate to say this, but in his prime, is there a world where Brandon Aiyuk felt slighted by what he perceived the organization's reaction would be to his contribution to the team? Or do you
probably? But then I think he's also prone to feeling slighted because of the lack of trust from the beginning. So his antenna is up for anything that relates to that. And then the contract negotiations, the Niners did their usual. They lowballed him into the ground. Aiyuk got pissed about that and said, okay, that's what you think I'm worth? All they had to do was calibrate it and say, what's the market expectation, and pay it. Instead, they wanted to play the contract negotiation game, and things got worse. And then Aiyuk said, okay, if that's the way you're going to treat me, so be it. And I think at that point, he started to make the decision internally that I want to use the Niners to get my money, but then I want to misbehave, so to speak, to force my way out.
So you think
he wanted everything? I want my money. I want my team. He wanted both. And most players that perceive themselves as that tier, that level of production, think they can call their shots that way.
Okay. So let me float this then. Brandon Aiyuk gets paid by hook or crook, literally, right? Kicks and screams the whole way through. We all watched it. We were all there for it. This is why I feel like BA being the one who burned this is so crazy to me, because you got paid. You got your money. So this is my thing. If BA's healthy, all right, if BA gets paid, he gets his money, and he gets hurt right away, do you believe that because let me process this. There was a split building between Brandon Aiyuk getting paid or getting traded, correct?
Yeah.
It was down to the bitter end. We all heard the story. Kyle ran upstairs. No, we want BA. BA gets signed. However, there was a lot of people in the building who felt like, dude, we should trade this guy. He's not worth this money. He's not worth the money. Fast forward to BA gets hurt, comes back, miss all of preseason, gets hurt. Now, do you believe that something changed in the building when BA got hurt? Where, let's be honest, human nature is I told you so. Right? It's just that's just natural.
Sure. We default to it. Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm guilty of it.
We're all guilty of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you believe that there was an environment of I told you so loud enough that it got to BA where he's like, hey man, I'm out. I see how you guys really feel, right? Because if you think about it, BA, he's the one that kind of wigged out. But as far as the organization is concerned, they held serve during these negotiations, right? We like BA, we want BA. BA found out that they were going to move on from a couple of times, but nothing to the level of vitriolic, toxic shit that BA was doing.
Yeah.
And especially when he got signed, I would imagine that they held serve. BA, we're welcome that you're here. Could it be a world where he started hearing some chirping like, you know what, motherfucker, we didn't want you. And now that you're hurt, it's ridiculous. Mind you, BA has multiple ligaments torn, right? He's not just coming back from an ACL, right?
Yeah.
So
PCL, MCL, yeah.
Is there I just don't think, I'm sorry, BA is way too erratic for that to be the story. That he was so calculated that once he realized the Niners were trying to trade him, he got paid. Then he realized, once I get hurt, I'm gonna force my way out of here. I don't see that. I see the Niners.
I think that was in his head, though. Once the contract negotiations got that heated, I think it was in his head that I want to get my money and then force where I want to go. I think that's what his plan was. But in terms of when he got hurt, then what? I think that, there's some told you so to it, but it's more that his behavior and his actions reinforced what they were already thinking, that it made them more convicted of, okay, we made a mistake in keeping him. It was more of, okay, now we know for certain, as opposed to prior to getting hurt, now we know at 80%. All it did was move the needle to 100 for most of the organization. But for BA, he then sees everybody but Kyle wants me gone. I'm going to remember that. And I'm going to let that inform how I behave with this team. You've already given up on me. I'm going to give up on you. Kyle isn't enough for him to say, okay, I'll be the good soldier. Not when everybody but Kyle wanted to move him. And truth be told, I think that he wanted to be moved.
Yeah,
he wanted
his
money and he wanted his team. So he wanted to go to Pittsburgh. So even though Kyle stepped in last minute to save him as a Niner, that's not what BA wanted anyway. And that's part of all this too.
All right. So $48.2 million, 7 games, 25 catches and 0 touchdowns. That's what we got out of him. Right? Hell no, I'm not walking away from the 27 million guaranteed. Hell no. So, and this, you know what? This brings up my next point. Where does the finger of blame go? Do they all got a hand in it? Is this 50%, 50-50? Is this 60% John? Is this Jed involved? Who's to blame?
All of the above.
Let's
Because they
get
all,
to
in
it.
their own dysfunction, create the situation. Kyle doghousing BA creates the problem to begin with. Then the contract negotiations, Niners being tough guy early, lowballing him, pisses off Aiyuk. Then there's talk of, maybe we should trade him, pisses off Aiyuk some more. Then Aiyuk says, okay, now I want to go somewhere else anyway. It's just everything contributes. Everybody doing their thing leads to all of this. It's almost inevitable that it comes to this. And it hurts the team as a result, but you have to know the people you're dealing with here. They never read Aiyuk correctly to begin with.
Is this the pathway for John Lynch to get scapegoated?
He already would be, but this doesn't help him. But to me, this is more about Kyle. Kyle is the one who burst through the door and said, keep BA, keep BA. Who's at fault here? Kyle wanting to keep the core together. These guys got me to the Super Bowl. I'm not willing to let them go. Even though you've got a deal in place with Pittsburgh that gives you the 20th overall pick in the offensive line draft. And Kyle says, no, I want BA. Any GM in that situation, especially with the Niners being this deficient in the OL, says, I need to get a part of this draft when the offensive line talent is this good, this deep. I need to get in this draft. Here's my opportunity. A real GM does that. Kyle doesn't, because Kyle values his players. Kyle values the guys that got him to the Super Bowl. That's why he did what he did.
Okay. But where does John stand in all of this? Right? The 49ers currently have 0 of their first round picks playing for the team right now.
Yep.
That's after 9 years of drafting. All right. This is on John Lynch. All right. Lynch, right now, I'm getting this from Sunil as well. Sunil tweeted this. Jesse Sunil.
Yeah, I know Sunil.
Lynch is the GM has been drafting for the 49ers since 2017. He has only signed 3 of his first or second round picks to a second contract. Bosa out for the season, Debo, which is a commander, and Aiyuk, who will be cut this year. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the list. That's the guys who have been signed. Since Lynch has been drafting for the 49ers since 2007, he's only signed 4 of his first, second, or third round draft picks to a second contract. And that's Fred Warner added to the list of Bosa, Debo, and Aiyuk. None of them are currently playing this year, and only 2 will be on the team next year. At what point, I understand that we have a very weird setup as far as the hierarchy, owner, president, GM, head coach. It's very weird in that we're inverted. The head coach runs everything. He's the final say. All right. There's also been reports that there's been a shift in the organization where Parag is back really calling the shots financially for the team.
Yeah.
2 questions. Where do you place this? Where do you place this on John? And 2, is there a reckoning? And that's what we're seeing why BA was voided. Is this more signs to come of what the Niners look like financially with Parag running the show?
Yeah, I think long-term, this empowers Parag and the Yorks to clamp down financially and say, we need better fiscal management than this. And they're going to be calling the shots, especially when it comes to spending in free agency and future extensions. But what's that going to manifest in? It's more of, I think that Lynch has been set up as the fall guy. And as you point out, the drafts have been poor. Since 2021, 5 guys who are at replacement level or better of all of their picks. That's a failure rate of 88%. Huge. That can't continue. But we don't know who makes the picks. Does Kyle make the picks? Does John make the picks? Do the scouts make the picks? And that's part of the problem here is there's no direct accountability to a single individual. And to me, I think Lynch and Shanahan want it that way so that we can't point a finger directly at them and say, you blew this. They want this messed up 2-headed GM bit. and it doesn't work. And we've seen it in the draft. The draft has failed. And part of the reason it's failed is because you have this two-headed monster and because you don't have a talent evaluator in the staff. Lynch is a guy that's a collaborator. He says, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? He doesn't have his own vision. Kyle has his vision, but it's only offense. It's not defense. And so here we are. Then you've got Kyle says, I want to run my system. Yeah, it's aged, but I'm not going to adjust it. I want to run wide 9. I realize it's aged. I'm not going to adjust that either. I mean, there's no one in the building to tell Kyle no and says you have to adjust to what's happening in the NFL now. Kyle is basically fixed in 2018 when he arrived. The system's the same. And that can compromise your team. Why do you pick Michael over Walter Nolan? Because you've got guys in the wide 9 who are going to have to deal with the 2 gap in run D. And so Nolan can't do that, and therefore you miss out on the better pass rusher. Why does that happen? Because there's a bias inherent to the entire team of run defense above pass rushing. It's what they do at D-line. It's what they do at linebacker. It's what they do in the secondary. They want run defense, and they're not willing to compromise on it, and that's why we get all this. So there's a lot of dysfunction. But to me, the main dysfunction is this. The Yorks want less spending, but they've given final say to Kyle. Kyle wants to milk the core. That's the most expensive path possible. Total dysfunction. Kyle wants milk the core. Lynch wants draft projects like Michael. I mean, you said before the draft with Michael, he's 260 now. He's at 20. What's he going to be at 24? They're going to have to move him inside.
He's going to have to go inside.
And that's their plan. They were thinking exactly as you did, that when he's 24, he'll be 295, and we can make him the next Eric Armstead. And so that's
when he got drafted. Yeah,
and that's their first round pick project. 4 years for him to become Eric Armstead. Why are you drafting projects when the guy making the final say on personnel wants to milk the current core?
Oh, Tom, because we're in a window. That's why we're in a Super Bowl window. We got time.
The window ends, and it's already
closing. We can draft projects because we got time.
Yeah, we don't. No. CMC is going to turn 30 next year. Kittle 33, Trent 38, and you've got no heir apparents for any of them. And that's the dysfunction. It's the lack of alignment. You can't draft projects. Michael is a project. Nick Martin is a project. Yeah. And you've got Kyle saying, final say on personnel, I want to build this team around the core. I'm not willing to replace the core. I'm going to milk it into the ground. I'm going to ride it into the glue factory. So what do your picks need to be? Your picks need to be now players that can hit the ground running, contribute right away so that you've got somebody that can supplement your core before they age out and they become too ineffective. That's what's going on here. There's way too much dysfunction. The Yorks want less money, but Kyle runs the show and he's the most expensive path possible. Kyle wants the core. Lynch wants projects. Everybody's got their own mountain. Nobody is on the same page. There's no alignment. That's the crux of the problem here.
Yeah. The biggest issue for me right now is understanding how things shift for us. You don't spend that type of money and understand where the void is going to be. We need a number 1 receiver now. Ricky Pearsall is not a number 1 receiver, right?
Well, and he can't,
so that changes everything for the draft.
Right. He can't stay healthy either. So, yeah, this draft we might see yet again a 2 wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
If not more, because they're going to have to replace Aiyuk and Jennings.
And guess what? That's another excuse to ignore what?
Offensive line, of course.
There we go.
And they will. But I just had a mock draft. My mock was edge, offensive tackle, wide receiver in the first 3 rounds in order. After this, I wouldn't be surprised if the first and the third round picks are wide receivers. The problem is that your receiver in the first, you're looking at, they're not going to trade up for Tate or Tyson. They're too high up. They're top 12. So who falls to their pick? You got Mekhi Lemon from USC, but he's 5'11", 195. He's too small. You've got Denzel Boston at UW. He's 6'4". He's got the right size, but he can't release from the line. He's more of a replacement for Jawan as a contested catch guy, a boundary guy, a run blocker. He's not the X receiver you need. The X receiver I think they want is Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. They had 3 scouts that went to the Notre Dame game last week. That's not to see Jeremiah Love. That's to see Fields, because Love's gone. Love's top 5 now.
Yeah.
So Fields, 6'4", 220, 18.6 yards per catch, explosive player. He fits what they want, what they need. He's third round. But they could end up saying, okay, we're going to take Mekhi Lemon as a receiver in the first, and then we're going to take Fields as our X receiver in the third. I can see that going down.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, I think, and then they'll piecemeal offensive line, is which they always do.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing right now is understanding what the path forward is fiscally. I don't think that we're going to see any more splash deals. I think that time is over. We're not going to, it's going to be a hard press to see a guy get a big deal here for a while, or they're going to have to be for sure enough what they expect. I just, how much goodwill do you think the regime has lost with this Aiyuk deal, meaning Kyle and John, to the organization?
A ton. I think there's a lack of trust. There's a belief that they can't be trusted to deliver what the Yorks want. The Yorks want fiscal management, and they want a sound roster where you don't overspend on players. But what they want really is Bill Walsh. You let a player go a year too early rather than a year too late. Kyle is the exact opposite. He keeps players beyond 1 year late, 2 years late, 3 years late. I mean, we're talking about, are they going to give an extension? I think they will. And the CMC bomb is coming in this offseason. Why is CMC getting this many touches? Because he's after another bag.
Yep.
And Kyle, he knows that Kyle will give it to him. And so Kyle is not only going to keep McCaffrey, he's going to give him more money. He's going to give him another raise. And that'll be an extension, or it'll be exercising the team option for next year. Either way, McCaffrey makes more money. He's happy. Kyle's happy because he gets to keep pressing the CMC easy button on offense, and you get this thing continuing. Even after the Aiyuk deal, the first thing they're going to do in the offseason is what they shouldn't do with McCaffrey. They're going to keep him and extend him and give him even more money, because Kyle's so? Kyle. Yeah, I think that I don't trust Kyle any further than I can throw him, and I think that he wants McCaffrey. He trusts him just like he trusted Aiyuk. I want this guy because my offense succeeds when I run it through Christian McCaffrey. Problem is that that's only true as a receiver now, not as a back.
Yeah, that's
over. Are you willing to sacrifice your run game by keeping McCaffrey as your number one back? That says, yeah, but Christian is the most effective when he's playing as a running back, is when he's most effective as a receiver, as opposed to just move him into the slot and use him that way. No, because Kyle can use him best when he's at running back as a receiver. And so that's why we get this extension. That's why this dysfunction continues, because Kyle wants to milk the core. If the Yorks want to have tight fiscal management, they need to take final personnel say away from Kyle. That should be the punishment for this. Are they willing to do that? No, because Kyle lays the golden eggs. He lays the home playoff games. That makes him the most money. That's what they're most interested in. And the dysfunction continues. You want tight fiscal management, but the guy with final say spends like a drunken sailor. Yeah. Everywhere you turn with this team, there's dysfunction.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Something else, they're never going to fire him. They're never going to fire Kyle.
No,
for me,
Kyle might walk, though.
I think
if he
that's
thinks
my
they
opinion.
Can't contend anymore, he'll walk.
That was my point. Which was, now you're fine. I think that he's going to walk. I believe that there's no world where Kyle will get his wrist slapped in front of everybody. He's not going to just, and he's not going to clean up the mess once CMC's too old, Trent's gone, George is too old. He's not going to weather the storm, especially if he doesn't have picks. He doesn't have anything that really kind of tips the scales for him. On top of the fact that this is still an issue, but we forgot about it because Saleh came back, thank God. But there was a coaching problem for the past couple of years, and people he wasn't really necessarily replenishing. We finally got rid of the special teams guy, but we had to get Brand from Saleh. Yeah. So for me, I still look at that as an issue. It's just on hold right now because Salah's here and we forgot about it.
Yeah,
I really believe that there's not a world where they walk down on Kyle and tell him, hey, we're letting you go. I think Kyle will resign. I think he would resign, calm down for 1 year, and then have a bidding war. Come right back out, have 2-3 teams, and everybody he'll be the hottest thing smoking, being off for a whole year.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely see that happening. Is that
how's this Kyle hate?
Kyle
I
hate
don't get
funny.
it.
Faithful. Okay. I saw your chat earlier where, Kyle spends like a drunken sailor, but they get to the Super Bowl. Here's my point. Kyle as a coach gets them to the Super Bowl. Kyle as the real GM with final say prevents them from winning a Super Bowl. The lack of investment in the offensive line, the inconsistent team building, the overspending on the core, and the underdevelopment of rookies, and the lack of alignment, and not dealing with the injury problem, all of that is on Kyle. So yeah, you can say Kyle gets in the Super Bowl. Kyle also loses the Super Bowl. You have to take a hat away from Kyle. You have to say, okay, you are great as a coach and an offensive coordinator. You are not as a GM. We're taking final say away from you. We're also going to bump Lynch up to be just the team president, nothing else. Now we're going to hire an actual GM who knows what he's doing. That and only that is their path to a Super Bowl. If all this dysfunction continues, they'll get to a Super Bowl. You'll say great, but this team has been built about rings, 5 of them. And they're not winning a 6th until they deal with this issue. Kyle cannot have final say in personnel anymore. And this Aiyuk thing just proved it.
Yeah, I think this is the smoking gun where the contracts, the putting your hand on everything, you can't unsee this. The number 3 overall quarterback that you burned, whatever, that one got swept under the rug. But
Purdy,
you know what I mean? Yeah, but you can't unsee this, man. Debo getting paid, him moving on, that stunk, but they moved on from that. But this right here, I think that it just shows that there's a lot of responsibility that's going to get taken, that should be taken away. As an organization, are we kind of a laughingstock?
I think we are to an extent. People respect Kyle as an offensive mind, but the organization, they kind of look at it and just kind of chuckle. Is that this GM situation says we're not serious as a team.
Yeah.
You need to hire a real outside GM that can evaluate talent and knows how to build a team. The two-headed monster they've got has had 9 years, no rings.
All right. So look, let's get to some super chats. I know we got a couple. New member Ripidliz76 is a new member of the channel. Thank you so much, Ripidliz. Bill Kennedy 9554. I want to hear from BA. Bet he makes a stink. I mean, he got what he wanted. He got his money. I wouldn't walk away from 27 M's, but
he's betting on himself.
He is, and
somebody
that's
that has
wild.
That much ego. Oh, it is. Yes, he thinks that he can go into free agency and he's going to get the same money. He did
a whole year off of football, dog. Like that is so nuts.
Yeah, and with all these ligament injuries in his knee, and nobody's seen him play, you think people are going to offer you that much money? They're not. I think he's in for a rude awakening on that front. But I do think that he can still rationalize to himself that, yeah, I might not get what I was offered by the Niners, but if I heal and I play well, then I could get another contract and I can make up my money that way. He's expecting to get a second deal after he leaves the Niners that'll compensate him for the money. I think that's his thinking.
I mean, can we cut to the chase? He's going to the Commanders. Like, let's just come on. He's going to the Commanders, and Debo went there. Jake Moody went there. It's almost like Niners farm team, the Commanders.
Yeah, with Adam Peters there. Yeah. So I think he'll go to the Commanders provided that Adam Peters is willing to give him enough money. if he thinks that Peters is shortchanging him to take advantage of him, and he's looking for Aiyuk to take the Washington discount so that he can play with his boys, I think that at that point Aiyuk could say no. So
but
Washington's going to have to offer him enough money, and if they do, that's where he goes. But that's the only if in that situation to me.
But here's the thing, though. Isn't it in Adam Peters' best interest to lowball BA?
Yes.
Like, there's no, wait a minute. So if I'm Adam, this is what's crazy to me from BA's perspective. You think that you fought heaven and hell to get that contract, ruined your name, all right? Completely killed your credibility in the league to get that money. And then you go get it. And you mean to tell me that you force your way out because you got enough of it, and you think that there's other people in the league that are going to do this for you again? Like,
well, what's one of the core traits of a diva? Delusion. The D in diva is delusion. He thinks he's going to get this. He honestly does. Because in his world, there's no one to tell him no, that you've got all these ligament damage in your knee. You haven't proven you can play yet. Nobody's going to be out there offering you a lot of money.
And then there's that part.
Adam Peters is the last person who's going to be motivated to overpay for you. When he thinks you want to come to Washington, he's not going to offer you much. So that's why I say that's the hanging if, is that if Peters lowballs him too much, Aiyuk will say no, and he'll go to somebody else that offers him more money.
No, that's not the way that's going to play out, in my perspective.
I'm just saying that it could. If I had to lay down money in Vegas, I think he goes to Washington. Right. But I think that's the only way this gets derailed is if Peters lowballs too much and Aiyuk gets pissed.
Right. So I don't think it's going to happen that way. The league, they collude. They all collude. All right. And whatever number comes out first for BA, nobody's going to overshoot that. They're all going to go lower. They're all going to go. That's the market, dog. You don't bring nothing hot on the street and then think you're going to get market value for it. It don't work that way. All right.
Nope. Agreed.
So that MacBook is $1,200 at Apple. On Main Street, it's $250. All right.
Yeah.
That's the way
that's the reality. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, I don't see a world where BA can possibly believe he has leverage. Also, another thing, it's not the fact that you're just going to go out here and negotiate with teams because you got time on task, as if you've proven that you can play. My man, you're going to be going through auditions team by team by team. And what do you think teams are going to do? You're leaving what teams see up to the interpretation of how much they want to pay you, BA. So teams could just gaslight you and say, yeah, you look, yeah, they're going to. Like, you look okay. You look okay. You look okay. I wouldn't say great, but we can do about $8 million a year. We can do 8. I heard the Commanders offered you 10. And then off and on we go. And then this has Le'Veon Bell written all over it.
Doesn't it?
Don't you feel that way?
Absolutely. That's a great call, Coach. That's exactly it.
It feels just like Le'Veon.
And just like Le'Veon, he was absolutely convinced that he was going to get the money he thought he had earned. And he never did.
Yo,
I think Aiyuk is headed on. Aiyuk is walking down that same path.
There's some places. I'm gonna read some super chats. I'm getting some good super chats, so let's get to it. Tim Rock City, new member. Thank you so much, brother. Jewish guy, new member of the channel. Thank you as well, Jewish. This brother Bob's cuz. Oh my God. Coach and Tommy, two of the best in the biz. Fire Kyle Levy. I get you, bro. Right here, Gammon Brown. Giving BA a shout out in case he's watching. Gammon is hilarious. Josh B2461 makes their decision at trade deadline look trash. They knew this was going to happen. Why not get defensive players knowing your wide receivers round 1 again? I don't think that there's any way that you can move BA in the middle of the season without him being cleared. BA has not been cleared. We're forgetting the fact that this news came out and he still has not been cleared.
Right.
So there's no world where you can move BA before the trade deadline. Also, I don't know, Tom. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you void him? Do you think that BA was healthy and the Niners were not, and the Niners didn't want to clear him?
I don't think so. Or at least not initially. I mean, they voided it in camp, basically. We're just hearing about it now. But I don't think they knew at that time.
Wait a minute. You breaking news to me. God damn it. Hold on. They voided this in camp?
Yeah, that's one report. I haven't seen a number of them, but apparently they voided it way earlier than we think. They didn't just void it, according to one report. But is that true? I don't know. I would like to see more. I want to see some consensus on that. But I did read one report that said that they voided it early. That's possible. I don't know. I can't speak to the truth of it one way up or down, but that's a possibility. Regardless, what it comes down to is there just wasn't enough trust from the very beginning, and that relationship fractured from that point on. And you also have to know that you're dealing with a diva, and so the diva is going to have his own agenda. And Brandon's going to have to live with that. He's a very talented player, and we'll see if he can get back. I hope he does. I hope he can recover physically to the point where he was at before the injury. But I think he's being deluded if he thinks that he's going to get anything near what he was offered by the Niners. He's not.
Yeah, I think that this move is very career altering for Brandon. I believe that just off the business of the league alone, I'm not here to say that things are over, not even close, but he's betting on himself and he's going to have to find a home. He's going to have to find somebody that understands his situation and, for lack of a better term, takes him in. I don't think that it's about talent anymore. There's so much that's transpired between him and the team in the open that you would almost have to ask, if you're an owner or a GM, hey man, how are things with you? You know what I mean? Like, I need to know what happened. Walk me through this just so we can all level set and understand what happened.
That's a great point. Deal with the person himself. Where are you at personally? Where are your expectations now? Where do you think you can be? And we want to be a part of that and nurture you back to what we think you can be producing on the field. And the best opportunity for that is Washington, because Jaden Daniels played with him at ASU. Debo, his former teammate and a guy he trusts. Adam Peters, presumably a guy he trusts as well. I mean, that's the best environment for Aiyuk, is to go to Washington, because that's where he'll have the most support, especially from the quarterback. And the quarterback can set the culture on a team, especially one where Daniels is the driver of the franchise right now. And so he says, I want BA. The Commanders are going to need to respond to that and say that, okay, this is what Jaden Daniels wants and he thinks it can work. Let's see if it can. Let's make a nurturing environment for Brandon. So I think that's where he should go, and that's where he would likely go, provided they pay him enough money.
Yeah. I believe that, like I said, they're going to have somebody that's bought in, that understands. And then also there's the wide receiver one element of it all. He got paid as a wide receiver one. That was a big point of contention in the negotiations, where he ranked, if he was a high number 2 or a low end number 1 or number 1 at all. Some people didn't have him there. I believe it's a shame, because I believe that question still isn't answered. He's going to go to a team. What if he goes to a Commanders and the Commanders are like, we just went that? I just noticed something. The Commanders just went through this already with Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
They just went through this.
Yep.
I don't know. What if the commander, what if the brass at the Commanders is like, hey, Adam, I know you love the kid. I'm sure you got a great rapport with him, but hell no. We just did this.
Maybe so, but I think that the Jaden Daniels aspect of this makes that a little bit tougher for them to tell Aiyuk no. Because this is your franchise saying, I want Brandon Aiyuk. You want your quarterback happy. So that's a complicating factor in all of this.
Right. Let's get to another super chat. This is Brother Bob, because our first round picks have been dirty dog ass. Yeah. That's one way to say it. Antoine Green.
Technical term from Bob.
There we go. Awesome. Very astute observation, Brother Ka. So Antoine Green, 5655, becomes a new member of the channel. Thank you. Also, guys, becoming a new member of the channel gets you a couple of things, my guys. Number one, you get the 3 Deep show with me, Grant, and Jesse that we have every Wednesday through media-only posts. I release the link, the webinar link for this, the one-time link for StreamYard. You guys get to come in, watch that show. Also, we got some stuff coming up, man. We got some cooking shows coming. All right. We're going to smoke some meats. Pause. We're going to do that. All right. We're going to get some recipes going. All right. I got a spatchcock chicken that's about to get smoked today. So get on, become a member if you want some of Coach's recipes. You want to get on the grill, have a good time. Some cakes. We do cakes here, you know, make you a nice sweet potato bundt cake. We got all types of stuff. We're going to have a good time. I'm not big for nothing. The old linemen eat, baby. The old linemen eat.
Always.
We eat good too. We eat good.
That's why you're a great chef.
There we go. Hey, we ain't eating no bullshit.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Hey, this is Brother Bob. This is Brother Bob Cud. Thank you, Tommy. I got you.
Thanks,
also, Sean for the win. I don't think Kyle gets a head coaching job again after a 10-year stint here. The league talks. He had full control for years. How do you see Kyle as a head coach post SF? Players and coordinators have been here. He's an OC. I'll tell you this right now. The success that he's garnered without winning a Super Bowl will still carry a lot of weight. It's going to carry a lot of weight, Sean.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams that would line up to sign Kyle because it's a signal to your fan base that we're serious about winning. We're serious about competing. And so it sends the right message, even though you're right. I mean, if Kyle wants to go somewhere and win a Super Bowl, he's going to need a very strong GM already in place, a great quarterback already in place, a great offensive line already in place. If those things are there, Kyle steps in and becomes the head coach, he can win a ring.
Yeah. I think that in order for Kyle to, like Tom said, in order for Kyle to be a part of a champion organization, there's infrastructure that's going to have to be waiting for him. Literally, you come in and coach. Now, as far as Kyle being like a turnkey coach for a struggling organization, there's that too. There are going to be teams that they'll take the control issues. They'll take the final say. They'll take the curated GM. They'll take it all. As long as you can come in here and make us money.
That's exactly
all right, because that's what Kyle's greatest asset is to ownership groups is, man, the wins are cool. The Super Bowls are awesome. The playoff games, phenomenal. But I will get you bang for your buck. I'm going to win you 8 to 10 games a season. All right. I'm going to have enough guys that are going to be swirling around this organization as far as curated guys that I already have for the system. Hey, for shits and gigs, you'll even get a one-time monthly visit from my dad. Get him an office. It's a whole
more
package.
Than one.
Yeah. It's the Shanahan package, baby. All right.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of teams that will take that because they aren't interested in winning a Super Bowl. They were interested in winning games, filling the stands, making money. And Kyle has proven that he does precisely that.
Yeah. It's a whole package. It's like, have you, and then media, we got media locked down. Have you seen Chris Sims talk about me? I mean, he's great. Sometimes he's against me. Sometimes he's for me. He really mixes it in the right way. Like, I'm telling you, I believe that he will be fine. I think that Kyle has found a way to be templated in the NFL. On top of the fact that we have to be honest. I mean, we're speaking tongue in cheek, but Kyle is a master of his offense. The man knows his offense. All right. Sure. And if he gets the bodies, he'll make it work. Next super chat, we got Big Tone 778. Didn't they sign Scary Terry in August? That was the point that I made. They just signed him. So I don't know. And then there we go right here with, dude, change your name, bro. There's no way. BA to LA, book it, Chargers. Do you think the Chargers would be a good fit? They need receivers in the worst way.
Oh, they need receivers, and I think Harbaugh would be willing to put up with BA. He could work there, but I think that BA's first choice obviously is Washington. But if you say that Washington isn't offering you enough money and the Chargers are, and you can play with Herbert, he'll go there.
Awesome. Rippin' Liz. Let me see. Rippin' Liz 76, aka 6-minute abs. Kyle acts like the spoiled kid that's never been told no. Promote Saleh, trade Kyle, and pick up McDaniel as OC. Coach, your game day play-by-play is real. Chat, check it out. It's awesome. You guys got to check out the chat. The game day.
Game day is the best. Coach puts his emotions and his passion out there, and he screams, he yells, he cries, he fires shotgun sound effects. It's great stuff.
It's good stuff, bro. And Tom is Tom is coming on there too, dog. We're gonna get some things going. But listen, I understand we traditionally think that Kyle can be reprimanded. It's not happening, guys. This is our team isn't ran normally. Like this, we're dealing with a coach that literally has final saying word. So I'm done with the whole. I'm done with it. There is no fire Kyle. It doesn't exist.
No. The only hope that I hold out is that they can fire Lynch and bring in a real GM. But is Jed willing to do that and tell Kyle, okay, you consult on personnel, but you no longer have final say? Is Jed willing to take that step? If he ever is, it's this offseason because of what just happened with Aiyuk. Do I think it'll happen? No.
No. Great job, 13 new member. Thank you so much. Pat Petrick. Hey Tom, sub coach, great analysis as per usual. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pat.
Chunder boy, you got to change your name, bro. I'm not saying this name on live. Niners will have roughly 80 mil next offseason now. Yeah, okay.
Does not matter.
Dude, let me tell you something. Have you seen free agency for next year? Trash. Free agency for next year, there's literally half of over 80% of free agency for next year is 30 and up. We're looking at Trey Hendrickson, 32, Debo at 30, Mike Evans at 33, Christian Kirk at 30, Khalil Mack at 35, Travis Kelce, 37, Joel Bitonio, 35, Jonah Williams, 29. Come on, bro. It's bad.
Yeah, it's the old folks home free agent period.
But
to the larger point, though, after what just happened, who won out of all this Aiyuk stuff? The Yorks did. They've been empowered. They got exactly what they wanted. They just saved $25 million. They're going to use this whole episode as proof of saying, you guys don't know what you're doing. We aren't going to spend in free agency. And then Chunderboy says, yeah, but we got $80 million in cap room. They said, that's nice.
So
they're
what?
Not going to spend it.
They'll stare at that shit.
You could have the best free agent class in history. They still wouldn't spend the money. Yeah, they want to save their money. They've made that clear. And they just proved it by getting rid of Aiyuk and forcing through a way for them to get out of the contract and save 25. They feel empowered, emboldened. They aren't going to spend in free agency. Now, to Coach's point, the free agency market is nothing great. But if they wanted to be strategic about it and say, here's guys that could really help us who wouldn't cost a ton. Breece Hall at running back, receiver, runner, played at Iowa State with Brock. Quincy Williams at linebacker, a pass coverage linebacker for once. Who knew? You can spend on those two guys and you improve the team greatly. Will they do it?
No. I mean, I don't know, man. Are we the gold-plated Niners? Like, are we really that cheap, man? Like, also Kyle Pitts is a free agent too. What do you think about Kyle Pitts?
That'd be a nice move. He's starting to come into his own. He's finally starting to realize what he can become. So I think you could take a gamble on that, but he's going to be real popular, and therefore he's going to be expensive, and therefore the Orcs say no. You
Tutu
have to
Atwell is
chase.
available too.
Yeah, they got to chase bargains. Brees Hall might not even be a bargain because there's so many teams that need running backs. He's a good one. The one cheap free agent they can sign is Quincy Williams, and to me, that's a no-brainer. Linebacker under Saleh, played really well, and he has a skill set this roster does not have, a pass coverage linebacker. The only one they've got is Fred. They need another.
Yeah. This brother Bob, cause smoke some meat, bro. Big pause, yo, relax. Blue Bronco 48. What's up, brother? Fayetteville State is in the building. They always are, will be. Blue Bronco 48. From trade to the Bay to BA to smoke. Hey, look, man. Hey, look. This is not a normal atmosphere. If this was the Eagles or a regular team, everybody be asking who's going to get fired, who's to blame. I believe that this, honestly, I think that this is what the organization wanted. I don't believe that their hands were tied on this one. I think they wanted this.
They did. But at the same time, you have to look at it and say, why did this happen? And you have to point to all the dysfunctional links and say that, how can you let this happen and then say we need to continue as is with the two-headed GM? It doesn't make any sense. But as long as Kyle delivers home playoff games, the Orcs aren't going to care.
Govan VS became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. Last topic of this topic. What do you think the locker room is saying right now? What do you think the response is for the core? How do you think they feel about this? He hasn't been here all year, right? So I get the element of, you can't miss what you never had. I understand that. But with him officially being out right now, do you think, what do you think? How do you think the locker room will be affected negatively by this?
I think it could be to a degree, in that this all spun out of control and it didn't need to be. There's a needless aspect to all of this of just, this didn't have to happen. This could have been avoided. I think that's in the head. But I also think that they're looking at this and saying that BA was our boy. BA was in the foxhole with us. We were fighting together in a Super Bowl, and now he chose not to be a part of it. He chose to withdraw. And if I'm in the locker room, I would look upon that as, okay, he left me. I don't know if that's a universal thought, but I think that especially for the core folks, the people that have played with BA from the beginning, they have to feel at least slightly betrayed by his actions in this. But they also have to look at this and say, I don't like how this makes us look. We didn't have to go down this road, and we did. But my concern also is, what does this message send to free agents? You've got a team that gets a ton of players injured unnecessarily. You get a team that handled this wrong from the get-go, and everything just doesn't seem to be aligning correctly on this team. If you're a free agent, why would you come here?
Yeah. It doesn't look good for us. It doesn't help us. And I'm hearing right now that Kyle is about to give a presser about it. So I definitely want to get to that and hear this. Hey, Tom, what do you got for the rest of the weekend, man?
Just kicking back, riding, and healing up.
Hey, man. Yeah. Hey, man. Listen, Tom's been going through a couple of ailments, man. He's a professional bodyguard at night. He moonlights. Tom moonlights as a WWE wrestler.
Hey, I had to.
Tom moonlights as a firefighter at night, guys. You got to give him. Send out your prayers for Tom. He's a wild boy at night. You don't know his second life. All right. So look, hey, I'm gonna be on with Grant tomorrow, and we're gonna knock out a coaches meeting. So we can get to this and talk about it. Hey, Tom, this one was awesome. I think we got one more from Brother Bob. They just gave away money for no reason. Who does that? People who don't want to give away more money for no reason. Yeah. So they cut the cord. That's exactly what they did. So look, hey, it is what it is. Let's get back to the season. We also have Rippin' Liz 76. At least we're not the Raiders. Thank God. Nobody can ever be the Raiders.
True.
Hey, they need to give up Jackson Powers Jackson. Hey, give him up, man. Give him up.
Kidnap Mark Davis for a couple days and get a trade through somehow, and they'll be okay.
One thing I will tell you, Tom, I am so glad that it's over. We finally have closure.
Yeah, it's just,
we know what it is. You know what I mean? Like from that
one of those you just
there you go. I'm glad that it's over. Yeah. No more of this. Is he gonna play? Are they gonna clear him? And do you believe what BA said this time? And look at his Instagram. And if you really want to know about BA, go on his YouTube shorts. It's done. Finally.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity for them to take a breath and say, okay, now we move forward.
Yeah. Well, BA, we bid you adieu. It's been real. Tom, Coach, we're out. Stay low and keep your feet moving.
Holla.